into the debate, but it was when we had the money, of course. I think Commissioner Goldberg.
I think that's the problem. Everybody wants something when we have money, and we don't do it, and then everybody wants the same stuff when we don't have money, and we try to do what we can. The only way to move our city forward to provide for the future is to provide for the future. I remember years ago we didn't have we were going to go to county water for our water supply, and I said that's not a great idea. Why don't we go back to our initial plan of having a reverse osmosis plant, start up again, and not waste the $15 million we already spent when we had a lot of money to dig the wells. And at the end of this week, we're opening up the reverse osmosis plant because we had thinking that had to do with the future. We had thinking that had to do with the future when we decided in 2008 that finally we're going to get out of FMPA and find another power purchase provider. That's the future. That's what we need to do. Think about the future. And if we don't think about the future, then we're going to go back into the past and we're going to do the same stuff we did years and years ago, waste our money, and not provide for our residents.
First of all, representing the downtown merchants, I want to mention a few things that I've heard. I have a problem with laying so many workers off and then doing new hires and also giving current administration raises. I have an issue with that. Second of all, I think the reverse osmosis is a great thing. I was there from day one supporting it. However, last time I checked, it will raise your rates by 13%. That too is not acceptable.
Well, that's right.
I too believe in preparing for the future, but I think you have to survive the present before you can get to the future. When each and every single one of us residents are paying enormous utility bills and the highest taxes in the area, the only way we're going to increase the value of our city is to bring in quality new homeowners, new businesses, and not just bring them here, but let them stay here and want to stay here. And the only way we're going to do that is to lower our utility rates. And it's just not enough at this point. A lot of people think we're producing power out there. It's not as easy as sell to somebody or whatever. It's, we have a certificate that we can produce power. Not everybody needs that, number one. We have to find, number one, a reliable source and a more affordable source. That's number one. The other thing is that, we have to keep in mind that our taxes are the highest in the area as well. So what's keeping people here in Lake Worth, the most beautiful city in all of Palm Beach County? Right now are good looks, but we're going to have to learn to afford it.
The mayor.
See, I think the one issue that I haven't really heard from anybody is that when you are in a financial emergency, let's say in your own personal life, and you are living on, let's say, an income of $40,000 a year, you got to cut your expenses. So you cut, and instead of every year spending $45,000, you try to spend the next year $35,000, and you don't go out to dinner, you don't buy this, you don't do that, you don't take your vacation. And when we look at the budget numbers went up. So though we cut employees and we cut certain things, we increased our spending. And I think that kind of, in a financial emergency, hasn't been addressed.
Are you the moderator?
If you'd like to disrupt the debate, the issue is the budget. I am asking a question about why more money was spent this year, set up for next year, instead of money being cut. No candidate has addressed that issue. I'm asking if any candidate would like to address that. Mayor Waterman.
I'll address it real quickly, I'm losing time. Actually, our budget this year is $23 million less than last year. The general fund budget went up because we transferred a few enterprise funds, insurance fund monies into the general fund, so it makes it look like the general fund is larger, but in actuality spending is down $23 million over the whole budget. There were no new raises for top level administrators, and Andy, do check again because the water rates were supposed to go up 13%, but the project came in ahead of schedule and under budget, and we were able to reduce that raise by over 8%. They're going up only 5%. So the best water supply in the county is coming.
Now, all of you who think the question I asked was unfair, the mayor just cleared up something that we as voters need to understand. So the question was not unfair.
That's true.
I mentioned earlier that I went online, of course, and looked at the budget online. It's really, really difficult. I don't know how many of you in this room have done that and pulled the budget off the website. Okay, not a lot. It's awful hard to find exactly where the money is coming from and where the money is going to, because you have to isolate it out, and then they put it into mutual groups and funds and moved it from point A to point B. It's very difficult to do. Fortunately, I have a business, and I've gone through a lot of budgets in my lifetime and handled multi-million-dollar budgets for clients of mine in airtime and media, and have for the last 10, 13, 14 years. But it is very difficult to maneuver through that budget. What I want to know is exactly where the money is and where it's going.
Okay, next question. Lake Worth City Charter states that one of the staff positions that is a requirement for our commission to retain is that of an internal auditor. Notwithstanding this law, the city has not employed this position for more than 3 years. During this campaign cycle, the public has been told numerous times that there is a line item for this position in the 2012 budget. As an elected official, will you strive to uphold the laws that govern our city? Please explain to us what your thoughts are on this oversight of the city staff and whether or not fulfilling this position makes a difference in providing transparency to the commission and the residents alike. Commissioner Gold.
Yeah, it's not an oversight. We do have a position in the budget for the internal auditor. We are going to hire an internal auditor. There is no doubt in my mind that's happening. And we'll be probably getting it as soon as we get the applications in and people apply to be the internal auditor. I think it's an $89,000 position. We also have the Auditor General from the county that we pay for. And those two positions certainly will cover any fraud, misuse, or abuse that's going on in the city, so that we can check up on all those things that we're moving around. And some people call it a shell game. I call it running a city appropriately. And this is the first budget that we've had. I'm sorry Pam hasn't seen our other budgets, which were about this thick and had all kinds of bizarre forms in it, and now we have a real budget with real people running the show, and we're really proud of that right now.
I would be the one calling it a shell game. I don't believe the numbers. I truly believe that this current administration moves the numbers around. However, my opponent has been there for 4.5 years. We are just now hiring an internal auditor. I have a problem with that, and my big problem with that is we could have cleaned up the mess 3 years ago. And also, I support hiring an internal auditor. However, the internal auditor should be outsourced, and it should report directly to the city commission, not the city manager.
When I first came on board, we did have an internal auditor. He was paid $50,000 a year. He was in charge of finding out if there was any abuse in the utility department, and he worked part-time and really let us believe that, and was right in saying that one of our employees shouldn't be running the show with doing the purchasing and being the director of quite a few other departments. And we could have told him that in the beginning. He didn't have to pay that money. Also, my opponent on the CRA did not want to have the ethics board oversight of the CRA. So I think that, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and we need to really propose things that we do believe in ourselves.
I just wanted to clarify that the internal auditor will be reporting directly to the commission. There's never been any discussion otherwise.
Let's clarify a few things. First of all, I supported ethics. However, the ethics is new, and I wanted clear communication from the ethics board, which took a couple meetings, and we got that information. Let's go back. If we had an internal auditor and he found so many problems in the city, why didn't we keep that person and or hire a new person to replace that person? However, we just hired somebody as an internal audit in the utilities department, and they found checks that were in the safe for over a year that was over $153,000. That is not acceptable.
I just think it's important to say too that when we're talking about an internal auditor, both the incumbents are saying that, you know, we're hiring an internal auditor. They haven't hired anybody yet, folks. Okay, it's in the budget, so we know that it's in the budget, but, you know, there's also the trolley in the budget. And they're saying tonight that they're not talking about the trolley anymore. So we won't know, is this just campaign promises or what?